Евгений.
Костя?
Если что случится, звони. У нас везде ловят.
Что бы ни случилось, у вас всегда есть отличное качество связи. Мегафон по-настоящему рядом.
Звучит как спорткар. Дарит чувство спорткара. Маневренный, как спорткар. И герб на нем – свидетельство спорткара. Porsche Macan. Для тех, кто верит, что каждый автомобиль Porsche – это спорткар.
Завтра в прямом эфире на Евроспорт 2. Route du Sud. 5-й этап.
Porsche представляет гонку 24 часа Лимана на каналах Евроспорт.
Welcome back to Eurosport's coverage of the Le Mans 24-hour race. Jeremy Shaw alongside me is Damien Faulkner, and we are now pretty much into the dusk hours. The sun has set. Still pretty light out there, Damien, but a tricky time for the drivers as we go from that transition from lightness into dark.
Yeah, and the biggest part of that is the sun, of course, which has now looks to have just set and is behind some clouds there. So it's the 97 Aston Martin there, locked up going past the speed limit area. So people will be fortunate to get away with a speeding penalty for that. But yeah, I mean, the lights are incredible on these cars, and to be honest, with the onboards that we see here, fortunately the drivers will have a little bit more vision, because it looks like you can see nothing from the onboard cameras going into the night, but the drivers have a better view, obviously.
We do, so it's 10 o'clock now exactly. That means we've been racing for, what, 7 hours of this 24-hour race, and it's Stefan Zarazza who leads in the Toyota car number 6 by about 1 minute and 17 seconds over car number 1. That is the Porsche of Timo Bernhard, currently driving that car. In third place, the second of the Toyota, that's Kazuki Nakajima at the wheel of car number 5. He's about another 15 seconds farther back down the road. Behind him is the second of the Porsches, that's Neil Gianni, the wheel of car number 2. That was our pole, you'll remember. He's about 38 seconds behind Nakajima, another half minute behind him. The best of the Audis, Lucas de Grassi driving the Brazilian at the wheel of car number 8. The sister car number 7, that lost 6 laps earlier in the very early on in the race with the turbocharger problem. They had to change the turbo. Did a good job to get that done in just losing only 6 laps, so a little bit more than 18 minutes or so. Remarkable job by that Audi team. That car is running in 7th place, and in 6th is the best of the Rebellion cars. That's car number 13, Matteo Tuscia, currently driving that car, the sister car number 12. They had a lot of problems, and it's way back down in the order. In LMP2, it's Pierre Thirier, who has taken over the wheel recently of the number 46 car. That's a Thirier by TDS Orica Nissan. He leads from Stefan Riquelme in car number 36, who has just made a pit stop. Also in the third place in that car is car number 47, the KCMG Orica. That also has just made a pit stop. And in fourth place is Roman Ruzinov for G-Drive Racing with the Jota Sport team. Car number 26, he also has made a pit stop. Roman Ruzinov in car number 26 had a drive-through penalty 2 or 3 hours ago now for an infringement, but still up there in the top 4 or 5. That's going to elevate Simon Dolan in the number 38, the sister car, into probably the second, well no, it'll be quite a way back, probably into the 3rd place in that class. In LMGT Pro, it's number 68 for GT of Sebastian Bourdais that leads over the sister car, the Ford Chip Ganassi Racing USA entry, number 69 of Scott Dixon. And then the best of the Ferraris, Giancarlo Fisichella for Risi Competizione, car number 82. Those three cars covered about 14 seconds at the moment. In fourth place in that class, and the only car still on the lead lap in GTE Pro is Billy Johnson in the number 66 for Chip Ganassi Racing UK entry. Billy had a spin about an hour or so ago, but he's been running well since then, and in fourth place. Right at the top five, one lap down to the leaders in GTE Pro is Darren Turner, Aston Martin Racing car number 95. In GTE AM, it's number 88 machine. That is the Abu Dhabi Proton Racing Porsche, and it's Khalid Al-Koubazi who's driving that car right now, ahead by a little bit over a minute over the Aston Martin car number 98 of Pedro Lamy. Third place now in GTE AM, Jeff Siegel is driving the Scuderia Corsa car number 62 entry. That is a Ferrari 458 Italian, run but also by the AF Corsa team. So that gives you our leaders at the moment of 7 hours down in this race. And Mark Cole has joined us as well again. He's back with us, and Mark, still a long way to go, and it's certainly looking good for the Toyota team right now. They've been leading, and Stefan Sarthe has just put that car onto, made another pit stop.
Yeah, and kept that lead. I've been thinking about that while we were on the break, and Toyota 1-3. Who would have expected that this far into the race? And of course there hasn't been an outright Japanese win since 1991. Johnny Herbert, Volker Weidler and Bertrand Gachot in the Mazda, that rotary Mazda that deafened half the crowd and certainly ended the racing career of Volker Weidler, because he just got this tinnitus after having driven that car for so long, the vibration and the noise. And but anyway, that was then. This is now. Can Toyota pull it off? Two cars in the top three after 17 hours of racing.
It's very impressive. I mean, they've really done a fantastic job. They are running 1 lap longer than both the Audi and the Porsche at every pit stop. As a result of that, Stefan Sarthe, he's just made the pit stop right now, and he's still maintained his lead over Timo Bernhard in the best of the Porsches.
Yeah, that's the really impressive factor, isn't it? We never really saw that coming, did we? And of course, we didn't have a chance to see how cars were going to really push, set their race pace in qualifying, because it was such a fragmented practice in qualifying, destroyed by weather, by yellows, by red flags.
17 hours to go, so P1, base looks really good right now.
Well, there's a little booster there. There's an eco booster there for Sebastian Bourdais.
Yeah,
well, guys, 17 go, we're leading. And we want to see you there in 17 hours as well, still in the same place. Look at the speed he's carrying, 300 clicks just then, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy, but Toyota look fantastic at the moment, don't they? And their car is allegedly really easy on its tyres also, so they don't have that worry. They're going longer on fuel, they don't have that worry. And look who set the fastest lap so far.
Yep.
It's Toyota.
Yeah,
so they don't really have that worry.
That was on lap 81. We're now on lap 111. And just looking so racy, Toyota. And we didn't really see this at Spa either, because they had the engine problems bottoming out in Eau Rouge, which sent these shock waves through the whole engine system, just damaged components. And they learned a lesson from that, though, Jeremy.
Well, you know, they've done a fantastic job over the winter. When they came here 1 year ago, they were so far off the pace.
What was I just saying to you about not bottoming out? He goes straight over the curbs in the number 5 car as Nakajima-san comes in. I think we'll see that again in a minute. He just completely misjudged the pit entrance.
Maybe he did, but this is a routine stop for car number 5. It's been stopping 1 lap later than the number 6 car as a result of the fact that Anthony Davidson, way back, what time was that? Earlier this afternoon, it's about 6:45 with 55 laps in the books. Anthony Davidson made a pit stop, went back out again, complained of a vibration, put that car straight back in again at the end of the next lap. They changed all 4 tyres, and that is the difference now between the number 6 car and the number 5 car, although it was Mike Conway's brilliant opening stint in the number 6 that opened up a pretty handy lead. It really was tremendous drive, Damien Faulkner.
Yeah, it was super. It was absolutely a stonking drive from him, and hopefully we're going to see more of that. Here's a replay of what Mark was alluding to just now. So Nakajima coming in, and completely missed the second chicane on the right hand side as he should have gone left. Went straight across the gravel. Yeah, This might have been a faster entry, actually.
Yeah,
I was just
going to say to you how smooth and keeping off the curbs Toyota drives have been, and then Naka-san goes and does that. So I won't tell that one.
Do you think they spotted that that advantage when they did the track work?
The camera doesn't show that just how steep that is down from the Dunlop Bridge down through the S's, and then another steep climb up the hill. And of course, that first corner after the Dunlop Bridge, forever known as Scott Corner now, after McNish's huge accident there 3 years ago when he tangled with Beltoise's Ferrari.
Slightly warmer climate than the Scotch Corner I know of in the UK.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to be taking a break in just a moment, but we've still got a long way to go. As Jerry reminded us, 16 hours and 51 minutes of racing, and it's all live here on Eurosport. If there's a 24 minutes showing on Eurosport 1, switch over to Eurosport 2 if you want the live action, or follow what's been going on through Neil Cole and Tom Christensen's eyes, with input, of course, from our own Liz Halliday. We haven't had any pit interviews for a while, but plenty to come, I'm sure. Catch up in a moment.
Le 3 settimane del nostro sforzo intenso, ci vuole veramente un grande allenamento, una grande dedizione, è una salita molto complicata ed è molto difficile da affrontare perché se c'è veramente tanto vento, anche chi sta a ruota dietro fa molta fatica. Penso però che per il Tour de France l'emozione più bella è quella dell'ultimo giorno, quella finale ai Champs-Élysées.
Монумент истины приближается.
Welcome back to Eurosport's live coverage of 24 Hours of Le Mans 2016. Martin Haven, Jeremy Shaw bringing the action. This will be once Jeremy has finished eating his sandwich. So welcome back to the Circuit Permanent de la Sarthe. We have got a stunning evening here after the first hour of the race was run under safety car conditions. Let's just have a little recap for those of you who may be joining us later in the evening, stroke earlier in the morning, at lunchtime, or whatever mealtime it is where you are. Currently seeing the lead battle being fought out between the Toyotas, which are not as fast as their rivals, but also can go further on fuel. Porsche lies second and third, Toyota in fourth position, and the healthy remaining Audi in fifth. In sixth position is the healthy number 13 Relive, and in seventh place is the Audi that blew a turbo early on in the race, and that is
6 laps behind its sister that is in second place, the leaders on 112 laps, and the delayed Audi on 106. Behind them by 2 laps is the LMP2 class leader, Pierre Thirier in the Thirier by TDS, number 46 Orica Nissan. That leads Stefan Richalmi, the Monegasque, in the 36 Alpine. And Tsuge Matsuda, the third driver, has now cycled through into the 47 KCM2 car. And that is the story of the race for Porsche. They led early on with the number 2 car. Neil Jani jumped away at start when we went green at just a lap before the end of the first hour. And then number 1 car, originally driven by Brendan Hartley, then Mark Webber, now by Timo Bernhardt, that had been trying to battle the Toyota. But the number 6 car, Jeremy Shaw, that is the one that has had all the pace for Toyota, and that is the one that Mike Conway started, blazed the trail for them. But it is this ultra-low drag bodywork that Toyota have introduced for the first time in a race in this car that is the key to their success. Basically, it's more slippery through the air, so the same amount of power as everybody else has got is using less fuel. They're going further on a tank, and we reckon they can possibly save themselves 2 pit stops, which is over 3 minutes, just by being better at sipping the fuel.
Yeah, that's quite remarkable, isn't it? They've done a really, really good job. And as you say, the car is fast too, because Kamui Kobayashi has set the fast lap of this race as well. That's 3:21.4, so it's been a very, very impressive performance by the Toyota team. And Stefan Sarrazin leads now by about 11 or 12 seconds. And the number 1 car, Timo Bernhardt, in second place. The number 2 Porsche of Neil Jani in third place. But both of those cars will be due pit stops fairly soon. The Toyota, Stefan Sarrazin, was in just 4 laps ago, and we can expect the next pit stop for the number 1 Porsche, that is the second place car, in 152 more laps.
Stunning shots on our screen of the Toyota going 3 wide down the hard shoulder of the former N138 onto Tour Road to go around the outside of wheel-to-wheel battle. The Mulsanne Straight is public highway. It is a 2-lane road, not a dual carriageway, 1 up, 1 down, and then there are 2 hard shoulders, and that is basically, as you find on most routes nationales, or D roads as they are now in France. Blue lights flashing up ahead because there is a quicker prototype on the way, chasing down that slower, or marginally slower, LMP2 car in front. Number 8 Porsche, Audi rather, this is the car that has been in 5th position, having a routine stop, waiting now for the fuel to finish going in, and then the car will refire and be sent back out on track.
And the only problem that car has had so far, Martin, was it wasn't an unscheduled pit stop, but it was a longer than scheduled pit stop just before 8 o'clock this evening, when Oliver Jarvis brought the car in for it should have been just a regular fuel stop, but at every stop they always open the left-hand door and exchange replenish the bottles that are in there, one for the driver, and the door basically wouldn't open. They had to take the door off completely, replace it, and that cost them about 25 seconds.
Ollie Baldwin wanted to know on Twitter, could we have a full list of retirements, Jeremy? It won't take long.
It won't. I think it's basically 1 car, I think, at the moment, so, and that would be the number 89 Porsche in GT Am. That's the Proton competition entry, the WeatherTech car with Mark Miller and Lee Keane. Cooper Neal also was supposed to drive that car but couldn't because he was not feeling all well this morning. So Mark Miller was at the wheel of the car when he had an incident up at the underbraking for the unlock curve, hit the wall pretty stoutly with the front end, and that is so far our only retirement in this race.
And the irony won't be lost on him that the fluid he went off on was dropped by a factory Porsche in the Pro class, so that cost them their participation in the race, unfortunately. As you say, single car so far retirement. We are a quarter distance in a 60-car field, biggest field on record, certainly the biggest field I can think of for a long time. We've only had 56 garages up until now, so we've only had 56 cars. We now have 60 garages, so we have 6 cars because we're quite generous. We give them a garage each.
It is amazing, though, isn't it? Just one retirement after, what is it, 7.5 hours of racing. And various other cars have had various dramas, of course. We've documented some of them already. The number 67 Ford Chip Ganassi Racing UK entry, that of Andy Brio, they've had all sorts of difficulties. They had a problem right away with the gearbox, I think that was, and that was a lengthy. It took a while before that car got going. Then they had another problem later on, and then Marino Franchitti put it into gravel trap up North Side Corner as well.
Now, did you hit to find out
acknowledgement that it was quite simply drive error, which is unfortunate for Marino, because, you know, I have a lot of sympathy. What happens is you're braking from nigh on 200 miles an hour through a curved braking zone over a bump, and if you miss your braking point by just a few feet, you will have exactly what he had, which is the most almighty lockup with a car going straight on as the circuit inconveniently turns 90 degrees to the right. When the darkness set in, the track, which is a living, breathing thing, constantly changes its grip level because the temperatures are changing all of the time, and it can be the case that from one lap to the next, the car's ability to brake at that exact same point isn't quite there the next lap. And we see this a lot. Oh, just as we see a lights off from the number 47 Orica, third place
KCMG
class.
car. Matt House and Richard Bradley have both driven Suge Matsuda in his second stint in the car. So
the winning car from last year.
Yes, exactly. Winning team from last year, if not exactly the same chassis. KCMG chased the World Endurance Championship in LMP2 as well, came up shy in second place in the season's end results, but that is a car that is dead stick, is it? Exactly the phrase I was going for. No lights on, but somebody at home. Unfortunately, he's now going to have to cycle through all sorts of control elite options in the hope of getting the wretched thing to restart. But we're talking to the Manor team earlier on in the week, and they were saying there are so many supplementary backup systems. There's a second this for everything, a second sensor for everything, a second system for everything. So hopefully he will be able to sort himself out and get it fired back up. If he can get back to the pit lane, again, it might just very simply be that there is a sensor gone down and it's trying to shut the engine down, even though the engine is perfectly healthy.
Here we get a second slow motion look at it. He has power, the lights are on, but he's lost drive. He's coasting to a halt. So either maybe he's losing. What do we think, guys? He turned it off there? I reckon he's turned it off there. Tried a control delete. Martin?
Right, Karen, now I had a quick question earlier about why are there purple lights for Porsche? There are purple lights on the number 1 Porsche only in the pit lane. The number 2 Porsche has blue lights. It's to identify them at dead of night in the darkness with a glare of white lights coming towards you. White lights only means a prototype. Your car has a distinct light pattern. You'll see like little ribbons of light, marker lights, whites in the windscreen and so on to identify cars to their teams as they come down the road, so know exactly when to step out and usher it in. Carry on.
My brother Ollie's just tweeted me saying, is it possibly a drive shaft? I mean, yeah, anything that could lose drive, but at the same time, when you've got to do the full ECU reset, basically you have to take all of the power off, wait a few seconds and try it again. Sometimes it fires, sometimes it doesn't. I'm surprised though to see that the lights were on after the drive had failed, but then they didn't come back on. Yeah. So we need to get to the bottom of that.
It's either turned itself off or he's turned it off. And a little slow creep away from the pit stall. Looked almost like a stall for the Thierry by TDS car. This car was second in the LMP2 class. Pierre Thierry is on board. His father's company, grandfather's company, I'm not sure, family firm anyway, supplies frozen food and frozen fruit products. He's, you know, the Captain Birdseye, who was referred to earlier on of France, and Thierry by TDS racing in the European Le Mans Series in LMP2, which is the top category in European Le Mans in the last 2 seasons. Very, very strongly run team, strongly driven, strongly motivated, multiple winners. Got very close to last year's championship, and he comes back out still in second place ahead of number 26 Orica That, and then you can see the P2 car coming onto the Mulsanne. Look, there's two cars battling for position. He's flashing the headlights. He has to go onto the hard shoulder, and now he's on the right-hand side. Is that the right side or the wrong side? Right side of the road for a Continental driver. Trying to work it out in my head. You can see how tough it is when we're here. Blue lights flashing as he comes down to the first chicane. Got slow zones further round the track from Mulsanne corner on, and linking all the way down to Arnage now. So that is a very long slow zone, and that can't just be the KCMG car.
Yeah,
partly it is the KCMG.
So. I would imagine. Well, that car certainly hasn't yet come around. It's not completed that third sector on a lap, so it's now lost a lap to the leaders. In fact, 2 laps to leaders.
White headlights, one of our P1 cars that has all the look of being an Audi, coming down into the second chicane on the Mulsanne, picking off traffic as it goes.
За каждой бутылкой Велкопоповицкий козел безалкогольное — мастерство пивоваров, влюбленных в свое дело. Здесь мы вертимся как белка в колесе. Работаем со вкусом. Для того, чтобы не хвастаться мастерством, а наслаждаться им вместе со всеми. Велкопоповицкий козел безалкогольное. Наслаждайтесь нашим мастерством.
Почему вы выбрали именно этот йогурт?
Я увидела это
и решила пить. А я увидела, что Биомакс тоже улучшает пищеварение, и он выгодный. Решила купить.
Вкусный и полезный Биомакс бифидобактерий помогает пищеварению работать как часы. Биомакс. Разумный выбор по разумной цене.
Мама, я позабочусь о маме, а вы о порядке. Мамочка, а у меня для тебя сюрприз. Твой любимый творожок.
С чудо! Даже детям так легко позаботиться о близких. Воздушный творожок и сочная черника. Чудесное лакомство. Чудо мое вперед. Мое любимое чудо.
Звучит как спорткар. Дарит чувство спорткара. Маневренный, как спорткар. И герб на нем — свидетельство спорткара. Porsche Macan. Для тех, кто верит, что каждый автомобиль Porsche — это спорткар.
Все, что нужно, чтобы быть готовым к приключениям, которые вам и не снились. Audi Venture. Приключение начинается.
Пришло время смотреть дальше. Инновационные фары BMW Laser Light в 2 раза эффективнее стандартных светодиодных фар. Они позволяют вам видеть привычные вещи в абсолютно новом свете. Делают ваше появление ярким, не ослепляя других водителей. Новый BMW 7 серии. Самый инновационный BMW.
Creo que bastante profesional, que siempre me he preparado al 100%.
Yo pienso primero en el Tour y me preparo exclusivamente para el Tour.
Es un deporte muy duro, pero hay que tener en cuenta que todo lo que tú haces las 24 horas del día es para ir lo más rápido posible en la bicicleta.
Soy muy fuerte y peleo bastante con los rivales.
Монумент истины приближается.
Evening at Mans. It is 16 and a half hours of the there are 16 and a half hours of the race remaining. You're looking down at the pit lane in the world's most spectacular race setting. Just talking to a few first-timers here before the race started, and one of the PR girls from the IMSA series, Kelly Brie, was saying this is her first time here, probably actually even Kevin Shade's centenary Indy 500 for spectacle and occasion. I'm glad to know that it is appreciated outside of Europe. Wherever you're watching, thank you for joining your Sports extended, live and flag-to-flag coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We ride on board down the Mulsanne Straight with the number 2 Porsche. This is Neil Jarni, who started the car in foul weather conditions, just coming back out of the pits and into a very slow section of the track where the slow zone is a mandatory 50 kilometers an hour, Sam Hancock.
We were just asking off air what the little LED lights are inside the cockpit of the Porsche that we can see when we're riding on board just to the right hand side of the windscreen. And I just noticed as the number 2 Porsche approached the beginning of the slow zone, there was a series of these flashing, in this case yellow LED lights, which act as a warning system to the driver that they are in what is confusingly, I think, called the next slow zone. What it actually is a deceleration zone, and that those lights are a warning system telling them they must slow down in preparation for the next marker point, which marks the start of the actually restricted slow zone where the incident is being cleared up.
So effectively, next zone is a yellow flag zone where you should reduce racing speed anyway, but it is also the warning that you're coming up to the slow zone. Now also in front of the driver's eye line, which we don't get from this view, is an LED screen which replicates all the flag and light signals that are being shown around the circuit. So he'll be getting a blue screen if he's in a blue flag zone, a yellow screen in a yellow flag zone, an 80 screen in front of his eye line in an 80 zone as well. I've had probably more texts asking what are the purple lights inside the Porsche than on any other Le Mans subject, and the answer is we're guessing, but that's what we think they are because we haven't been told by Porsche.
I'm interested because we're riding on board here with the number 2 Porsche as it goes blazing through the Porsche curves. I love that sight when they're unimpeded by traffic using all of the road. Those yellow lines that you just saw him driving over beyond the white perimeter line of the circuit as he came out of the Porsche car. There's deeply corrugated grooves gouged into the tarmac there that is supposed to act as a disincentive to go beyond the track limits, but we often see drivers going over them regardless because A, it adds so much to your exit speed, and B, the cars are just so strong these. Oh, and coming into the Dunlop chicane, there's LMP2 spin. That's the Murphy prototypes car. The Porsche has to take evasive action. I think it was Neil Jarni's Porsche, the third place car, and he went.
That's Ben Keating aboard the 48. Yeah, locks it up under braking, backs away from him.
The bike cars coming in the red decisions go the inside. Meanwhile, Jarni comes barreling in.
So that was the second place car. It was 2 red lights. That was Timo Bernhardt, I think, possibly, in the Porsche that took evasive action.
Yeah, there's very little to choose between those two, because after that pit stop that they've just made, there's virtually nothing between them. They've both been onto the pit lane just recently, but how they got quite so close together again, I'm not quite sure, because before that round of pit stops, they were separated by quite a long way.
Well, the last pit stop's a minute 6 for the number 1 car, minute 5 for the number 2 car, so it wasn't on that pit stop.
It must have been just as a result of that slow zone out there, because it's a long slow zone. While they were pushing that car out of the way, the number 47 car, they come to a halt there. I guess the number 2 car, well, also it was number 2 car was on pit lane while that stop was happening. So the number 1 car was out there going very, very slowly as well. So that enabled it. Yeah, so then there's another 2 car to close right in there. So very little between those two. And Kazuki Nakajima in car number 5, he's within 10 seconds of those 2 Porsches as well.
We saw shots there of some of the external activities that go on around here. Apart from eating and drinking, listening to the radio and watching the races, there's all sorts of other things going on. Not sure they've got the show with the snake lady and all of that, the bearded lady, all the things they used to have here in the 80s. I think those have probably been sort of moved on to the less reputable locations, but certainly rock concerts every night, lots to see in the village, lots to go and buy in terms of team memorabilia, Le Mans memorabilia. The museum is open as well, which has got stunning car displays. The Americans actually blown away because the return Ford 50s on from their third win. There's a massive American influence at Le Mans special exhibition this year, and that's always worth seeing. You think, well, no, if I went to Le Mans, I'd watch every second of it. I guarantee you wouldn't, apart from anything else your bladder wouldn't let you. But you know, it's an astonishing thing where you can go away from the racetrack for half an hour, 6 hours, and come back. They're still racing. It's still the same race. It's just the most ridiculous thing ever. So there's so much to see and do. And if you come for the first time, I was talking to some guests at the parade on Friday night, and they said, "What should we do?" I said, "Everything. Everything you get offered, yeah, we'll do everything."
Yeah, you've got plenty of time to feel. It's nice for me to see that Americans at the exhibition featuring the Cunningham C4R that I was lucky enough to race recently. In fact, I've raced it a couple of times at Good in the members meeting and the revival meeting. Fantastic car. We had a race win in that, and here it is, much celebrated, on display in its exact specification that it raced here all those decades ago.
One of the delights of historic racing is seeing cars that you were not either alive to watch race or present to watch race, and that's, you know, that's why historic racing per se and events like the Good Revival are so popular, because they recreate glorious races. And we haven't got Ferrari 250LM versus Ford GT40, but here we've got those same battles being played out by the modern versions that hopefully our kids will then be hankering to see in 40 or 50 years' time.
Back to the action, and we've got a flurry of multi-category cars winding their way through Porsche curves, trying not to trip up over one another. For me, I love this view where you've just got a little bit of ambient light left, but it's dark enough for the headlights of the cars to be blazing. And from a driver's perspective, this is definitely my equal favourite time of the race, along with sunrise. If you're lucky enough to be the guy in the car that gets the full transition from light to dark or vice versa, so it's quite a gradual process, what happens is you very naturally, subconsciously alter your vision. There's no sense of shock having to refine your feet. It just happens automatically, and it's a lovely sort of focusing thing to find yourself in the dark. As we're looking at the pit spot, you get an idea of how aggressive a driving change can be. Door open, you get hauled out by the scruff of your neck for the next guy to get in as fast as possible.
Well, and that's the format we use here in the commentary booth as well. The door opens, the hook comes in, and you're off air.
Yeah, but whoever was getting out there was clearly hot on his on leg there, wasn't it? Yeah. There was some problem there.
Yeah, I wonder whether he's run into a cramp issue. It is a tailor-made car. It's not particularly long in development. It may just be that the seating position, we talked about making custom-made seats. Maybe that his seat insert is not quite comfortable enough, and is starting to pinch nerve, and he's ended up having cramp. Battle here between Pat Long and Pedro Lamy, and Pedro Lamy has been racing GT cars since the 1990s, and Pat Long was still in, well, he quite often wears shorts because he lives in California, but in short pants. And Pat Long, one of the standout GT drivers. Pedro Lamy racing Formula 1, of course. He's raced prototypes, had a lot of time in GTs. He was a factory called Viper driver, among other things, and still racing hard. And this is for the lead of the class in the GTE AM category. Aston Martin, Pedro Lamy now at the front of the field. No, the Aston Martin bosses are down watching in the Porsche curve, so they'll be particularly excited in the next couple of minutes to see Pedro coming past in front.
He's just taken the lead on this lap, halfway around this lap, as Pedro Lamy. I think that's pretty sure that's the first time Aston Martin's led in this race. The GTE AM cars, of course, they're the 2015 specification, so they're not the latest and greatest that run in GTO Pro class now. They have the longer diffusers, more downforce, better aero. These are the same cars that raced last season, and Pedro Lamy, of course, had a lot of experience in Aston Martins and is now taken over the lead of this race. Patrick Long, and it was Patrick Long that led in the early stages as well.
As our US correspondent, although Jeremy doesn't sound very US, does he? Pop quiz from Cole Trickle. You might guess from that name in which direction of motorsport we're going. Which four drivers, I'm going to throw this open, answers on a postcard please, or Twitter if you must. Which four drivers in this year's Le Mans 24 Hours have NASCAR starts at Cup level, top tier NASCAR starts? And he gives us a hint, only one is from the USA. Boris said was here, that would be my first pick immediately, but he isn't. Four Cup start drivers. Okay, there's one for Twitter. Martin Haven or at Jeremy Shaw Racer, or even at Sam Hancock.
No, not at Hancock_Sam. But if you want to ask us any questions, just use the hashtag #AskEurosport. You don't need to type in all of our Twitter handles taking up valuable characters. Just ask your question, hashtag it #AskEurosport, and we'll try and answer it for you on the air. Or alternatively ask the audience if we haven't got a clue what the answer is. But I just want to go back to that lead battle between Pat Long and Pedro Lamy in the GTE AM category, and just acknowledge that we're 8 hours into a race thereabouts, and they are separated by tenths of a second. It's unbelievable.
And that is replicated in the other 3 classes as well. Welcome back to night time at Le Mans. 16 hours and 20 minutes and counting into the world's greatest endurance motor race. The moon is out in a near clear sky. It is cool, clear, and this is the witching hour, Sam Hancock, when the power really starts to come. Cool, clean air charge, still dry track, and your car is going as quick now perhaps as any other time in the race.
Well, it does, but I'd have thought exactly the same. But tell me this, look at the timing screens. You'd expect it to be a flurry of blue, faster sector times, lap times and so on. There's one faster sector, and that's from Ollie Gavin, who's quite far down in the GTE Pro class right now. Why are we not seeing quicker times?
The best lap out there, best lap of the car for Michael Elisha in Touring car number 27. He's currently running in the 6th position now in LMP2, just ahead of his teammate Victor Schauter, who's quite a shoe, Victor Schauter. But you know, it's awfully difficult, isn't it, to get clear laps this time of night too, because there's still a heck of a lot of cars out there. Just the one retirement.
Yeah, only one retirement after 60 starts. We've got a couple of other halt and lame. The 47 KCMG car stopped out on the track, hasn't made it back to the garage yet that we've seen. We're not aware what's happened. The team haven't put anything up on Twitter. And did we rescue the Aston Martin? I think we probably did. That had that big looping spin, didn't we? So that is still running. Andrew Howard waiting to take over the Beach Dean car. Martin Short, hello Martin, might you here this year? wants to know, Sam, how you bent the roof on the Ferrari in your first month.
Listen, I deliberately took care of that in the private confines off air on Twitter, and having had him throw me right under us, you just had to come and voice it.
There was another bus coming, what can I tell you?
I feel a conspiracy theory.
Okay, so our
welcome
NASCAR,
back to Eurosport.
Welcome back, Eurosport. Our NASCAR answer, Nelson Piquet Jr., that was a good call. Ollie Gavin, I'm not sure, I don't think so. Briscoe and Dixon, Scottson, Ryan Briscoe?
I don't think
it's a possibility.
I don't think they did sprint cup races, did they?
I think we're going to have to get Cole Trickle to answer the answer. Spook Gadgetman wants to know, how do the drivers not get blinded by other car lights? Well, you do get dazzled, but you have to make sure that your interior mirrors have got a kind of slight dipping effect on that won't be a bad news thing in the day, but slightly negates the effect, because you see when they come towards the camera, the lights are very, very bright indeed.
Johnny O'Connell may have made some road course starts in NASCAR.
Johnny O, yes. Well, see, Ron Fellows was always a good shout for that when he was racing Corvettes, but he's now retired.
He's here, of course.
Is he here? I didn't see him.
Yeah, he's very much part of the scenery at Corvette race. With his wealth of experience, he's very much a brand ambassador, but very much involved also in the team side of things as well.
I thought he was still running Canada Time Motorsport Park. And Jonathan Wesley reckoned it was Pujun Jin hopping from the Eurasia car, although the team said he was getting in. So
into a NASCAR?
No, out of the Eurasia car, so I'm not quite sure what was going on with that. And another question, I've lost it on Twitter. How much would the #1 Porsche cost? Well, the glib answers are, 1, if you have to ask, and 2, they're not going to tell you because it's an open number. It doesn't matter how much it costs. It costs what it costs, because if you win Le Mans, it didn't cost that much. If you don't win Le Mans, it costs quite a lot. But honestly, there's no earthly way a team of that caliber is going to tell us how much it costs to run a car, to buy a car, because they're not for sale to anybody at any price. So I'm afraid can't possibly tell you. Andy Frio, NASCAR Cup starter. No.
So just a slight diversion, just keeping half an eye on the battle for third place between the Porsche of Timo Bernhard and Nakajima in the Toyota behind. They're separated by just 14 seconds, and that's a gap that's been fluctuating between about 11 and 15 over the last few laps. They're running around at a vaguely similar pace between 3:24 and 3:26, which is not amongst the quickest times we've seen. The Porsches certainly earlier on had this slightly unusual habit of throwing in one astonishingly quick lap right in the middle of their stint that could be between 3 and 4 seconds faster. Just wondering, we've got this #7 Audi back in the pit lane now. That's having
wing adjustments going on. You can see all the way through there is another wing tab and that long twiddly thing on the end of a electric screwdriver. Essentially, they're going to adjust that to give them a little bit more wing, the denser air, a little bit less wing.
Maybe.
We have had time on the grid to make a wing adjustment, and if they did for rain, have they not had a time to take it off? But you're right, it's back in the garage, and they go in the garage, Sam, don't they? Because you're only allowed to have a maximum of 4 people working on the car in the pit road, and so any work that needs doing, they throw as many bodies at it, so they wheel it into the garage first.
They do, but obviously they've got bigger problems, wing adjustments right now to deal with, which is why the car is back in the garage in the first place. They're just taking the opportunity to trim the car according to the latest feedback from the driver as the temperatures change. I said a minute ago, it's amazing. You don't just start this race, find that the car had particular balance and enjoy or not enjoy that to the end of the race. Everything is changing all the time. Any race circuit, especially one that's derived from a predominantly road surface that's used by public traffic for most of the year, it literally is a living, breathing thing. It changes throughout the night especially, and you can go from this beautiful, what we call happy hour, early in the morning, just as the sun starts to rise, but the air is very cool. There's a huge amount of grip. The engines are delivering tremendous power because of the cool, dense air. And then all of a sudden, in the space of what feels like 20-30 minutes, it gets really slippery and greasy out of nowhere. And it's the dew and condensation on the road. and these guys are just having to fill that out every single lap.
Lucas, we have to make a repair to the car. The 7 car has the same. The guys practice it on the 7 car, and then we'll do it on ours. So you gotta stay out, okay?
Wow. My goodness.
Big news there from the Audi team.
Now then, is it the front? Because the engine cover is off. Number 7's already blown a turbo.
Well, we were saying earlier on that very unusually, having had this turbo issue on the number 7 car, it's such an unusual occurrence. We heard Dr. Ulrich saying earlier on they never have anything like that. It's not as though the sister car has been driving around thinking, oh God, how long until ours happen? So maybe they've had something else come up, or maybe they just feel they've got to play the safe game and make the repair anyway.
You notice, although the team member there pushing the camera back out of the way as he was trying to get the air hose to allow the car to come back down, no longer are they using sight screens or walls of bodies to stop us seeing what's going on in the garage as much as the camera can from the pit road, because the ACO banned that specifically last week, because he said if you're here to race and the door's open because you've not retired, we get to see in. I think that's an excellent choice. Now, whatever the issue was, it does affect the number 8 car. Talked to Tom Christensen before he came in on air, after we had the conversation originally about the number 7 car and its turbo failing. We heard from Dr. Ulrich saying, well, this is not expected. Tom saying only like 3 or 4 years ago, and he was still racing, they had a slew of turbo failures, and he lost a Le Mans because of one of them. If he'd won 9 times, of course, we'd given him an umbrella on the grid, but he only won 8 times, so it doesn't count for. If you've got a car that is built so individually and so specifically, and there are 2 of them that are identical, it's unusual one's going to have a mechanical problem that's different from another one. And that, you know, it's so early in the race, you're going 18, 19, 20 hours hoping that the same problem doesn't afflict car that's identical and was built next door. I mean, you know, they're twins. They're brothers from the same mother. It's unlikely that it's not going to strike both cars.
He did win 9, by the way, Tom.
10 then.
Yeah, exactly. But you pointed well taken, Martin, and it is remarkable, though, isn't it, that the Audis having all these problems. They've had difficulties in the first few races of the season, but not with turbos, as far as I can have understood.
Yeah.
But it's all sorts of niggly little things.
So no, exactly.
They had a drive shaft failure on the or a what do you call it? Step gear from the electric motor to the front axle on during qualifying, and now the problem with the turbo early on in the race, and now another problem here, which they were very careful not to divulge exactly what it was during this last few minutes, and there was a 5-minute pit stop almost for that car 7.
Pat Long is being thrown up by Joanna Rightbend as a US Sprint Car driver, and Gabor, I'm going to murder your surname, so I'm not going to do it, but Gabor, you know who you are. Nick Johnson, he said, did a NASCAR Busch race in Montreal, but that's not top tier, that's not cup race. Ian Court reckons Ryan Briscoe, Townsend Bell, seems unlikely. Johnny O'Connell, your own Blake Amo, Scott Sharp, Nelson Piquet, we think definitely. Johnny O, I think, is a great shout.
Scott Sharp, probably.
Yeah, possibly.
Probably.
Sebastian Bourdais.
So.
Poussin's not in Cup. Jan Magnussen not in Cup. Scott Speed, well, he's not here. Somebody suggested Darren Manning. I know Darren Turner's the same Christian name, but they're not the same person. So that doesn't work. Scott Sharp started one NASCAR Cup race at Watkins Glen in 1992. Yes, admit Glenn Allott, I did Google it. Very good, Glenn. Well found. Ryan DL. Again, I'm not sure. By the way, if anybody's got chocolate sauce sweeties, we're in the middle of the upstairs row of porter cabins, and I didn't go shopping yesterday, Sam.
Please, sir, my hand is up because the number 8 Audi Lucas de Grassi has just come in for that pit stop for the repair that we just heard the engineer get on the radio and warn his driver that they will need to do. So let's keep a close eye, if we can, on the cameras and see if there is any indication of what it is that it has failed, or they are making a preemptive strike on the Audi.
While you watch Olivier Plas on board, I can see that the number 8 Audi has arrived and is on pit road and is still on pit apron. Why? Because they are fueling it first. They're going to do a driver change. Lucas de Grassi will get in. But if they need to do anything else, and we have heard them say they do, we're going to need to fix it. It's going to go back on the trolley dollies, and there you go.
Yeah, and this is 3 laps earlier than we'd have expected this car to be on 2 lane, because generally it's been in the pits every 12 occasionally, or more usually 13 laps. This stop is just 10 laps since this last one.
Okay, this is sleight of hand at the front. What's going on at the back is the engine cover is coming off, so it's not a wing adjustment. The wing adjustment, we're getting around a wedge or whatever at the front, but the engine cover is off at the back as well. This is sleight of hand, smoke and mirrors at the front end. To 11 in France, 5 to 10 British summertime, 16 hours and 4 minutes to go. Imogen and Max Attry, the race will still be on when you wake up in the morning. It is bedtime. Be told. You won't like Abby when she's mean. She gets very mean. Okay, that public service announcement over. Martin Hayden, Jeremy Shaw and Sam Hancock. We're riding on board 4th place in the GTE Pro class with Olivier Plas in the Ford GT. We've just seen the number 8 Audi come in for what Audi's Twitter feed says is routine service, fuel and tyres. They neglect to mention it was pushed back in the garage. Both ends of the bodywork were taken off, stuff was done, and it was pushed back out. So we're going to have a bit of a guesstimate as to what it was, Jeremy Shaw. Wasn't an extraordinarily long shot.
No. And triple stint there. Olivier Plas informed will be starting. He just gone on the pits a few laps ago. No idea what that would have been on the Audi, quite frankly, but it did cost them about an extra 2 minutes by going back into the garage and back out again. But clearly they learned something from number 7 car, because that stop was 4 minutes and 54 seconds. The stop for number 8 car was only 3 minutes and 30. Generally speaking, when you change drivers and fuel and take on tyres as well, the stop's going to be just a little bit less than a minute and a half.
But generally speaking, that doesn't involve a trip to the garage.
Indeed.
Because you can do all that with the standard number of people. Okay,
It might have been routine,
yeah,
but it certainly isn't something you would plan for before the race meeting.
No, and having then told the driver on the radio they had to stay out until they were ready to fix what they needed to fix, which was the same as